All right, Josh, I just did a calculation just to check to see, or check one of the charts to see. I have 12 gauge wire, speaker wire here. This is Garrett, I believe is the name of them. I've used their stuff before. Seems to be pretty good. Oh, here we go, right here. Pow. Garrett, 12 gauge wire, and it doesn't say. But I did check, at least I Googled, which is pretty decent, right? Google it. I Googled to see how much power a 12 gauge wire is good for, and 12 gauge wire is good for, I believe, 1920 watts. That's what Google comes up with. So plus or minus whatever. This amp doesn't put out 1920 watts on the sub channel, so I'm gonna take one of these. I'm gonna leave it dangling off to the side. I will ferrule it and so on and so forth, but I also have the spool still connected because I am gonna run that up and back and to the back of the Tacoma. So I can use that for sub when that time comes along. We are not at that time right now. Underneath here, you can see where I'm kicking on my footsies. There is a subwoofer in this box. I'm still not sure if that is a subwoofer that I am going to use, but I did grab one, and we'll kind of figure out where I go from here on whether I'm going to run a few other subs or if I'm going to run a few of these subs. I haven't gotten there yet. I probably won't return it. I'll probably build it and then put it up for sale for guys around the region if that's what they're looking for, and that way I can test it. And if I build a box of these and I build a box of the others, then I can showcase both and let both of you, see what you want. Anyway, whatever. As we sit right now, I'm gonna leave this spool. I don't know how much was left on this spool, but it was well worth its money. I'm just gonna leave that there. I do have all of my quarter 20 hardware. There's nuts, flat washers, and lock washers in here. Toss that in there. I believe everything else. I do have to grab the ferrules, some cutters, and I say we leave the bench here and make it into the truck and start wiring up. And I think it's about time that we check all of this out and see what we got popping, what we got going on, Chief. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get that done. All right.
Now, this is going to be hard for me to film, and I'm going to try my best to film it all for you, but there is a lot going on, and it's a little small quad cab pickup truck, so kind of is what it is. First and foremost, I think what we're going to do is drop the tray in and start pulling some wire through, and also let's just get at it, dude. So all right, so here is the remote wire. We'll go ahead and take the remote wire and get that shoved on through. Okay, get that in, and we'll have to get that situated at a later point in time, but the remote wire is in. I'm just gonna let that drape out this way. And then what we have here is, I believe this left front and right front. Left front, right front, and then this should be the left rear. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get that along with this 9 cat. It's not. I keep wanting to call it Cat 9, but it's not Cat 9. It's just a 9 wire. It's got 9 strands in it. So we're gonna go ahead and pull that through, and tingle that. Let that get pulled on through, and then we have here the other 3 speaker wires that also need to make its way through. I'm just gonna take those and pull that through this way like such. Okay, so now we have the sub wire that's going out, and that's got to get strung up and through. All right, I'm gonna take this amplifier and set it out into the side over here. All right, so first and foremost, I want to take this amplifier or the subwoofer wire, and I'm just gonna find a way to route this. I think it's gonna go underneath to the back. Or no, we'll just go around to the side. Okay, let's take all of this wire, because all of this wire stays inside the bundle there, and we'll get that over there. Sorry, I hope you guys can see this well. And then I'm just gonna take this wire and kind of string it through here. You're not gonna really be able to see it, but you should know what I'm getting at. If you know, you know. Ain't that what the kids say nowadays? So sub wire, here's, I'm just gonna tape it on a piece of TIG wire. All right, and there we go. So wires, take on, and we're just gonna push it through, and back on that. Okay, so we've got our wire pulled through. Hopefully you guys can see that. Get that, hold that out, and get that pulled through. Somewhat of suck. Boom. That's just sitting out to the side. All right, we're not too worried about that for right now. This is a lot of nonsense. Yeah, I was getting myself tied up in some weird stuff, huh? All right, well, let's go ahead and get at it. So, we do need to set this down, get that pulled through. Oh, there's a wire that goes to the other side that needs to come in, and that's the right rear door speaker. All right, so let's cut these wires. I only put these good when I was pulling these wires through, so let's get these separated. All right. All right, so we got all of those separate now. All right, let's go ahead and flip this over, and I know through here, this wire needs to go through here. All right, we're just gonna kind of start feeding this stuff through. Okay, so that goes through, and then I give it a little room, and then let's take these speaker wires, get them that way. I gotta go down there, but I also need to pull the sub wire. We're just gonna push that through and leave that there. All right, because that needs to go through there. And then let's start pulling speaker wire through on that side, and then I think we can get this bolted down. All right. Righties, let me squeeze on in here. And so this is right front, left front. So we're gonna do, I need to grab the amplifier. It's a lot to do by yourself, Chief. All right, got it. So we're gonna do left, right. So fronts, left, front. Let me go, no, I'll just do this. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. So we're gonna do left front on the top, right front on the top, left rear. All right, so this is left rear. This is just trying to kind of organize myself here and make things nice. That needs to come out and go back in right here. That's the right front. Okay, here we go. Now we need left rear to go through. I hope you guys can see that. And then, there we go. All right. So we got all the speaker wire pulled through as it needs to be pulled through. Yes. So that's all pulled through. Let's go ahead and get this bolted down and go from there. So it looks like shit now, but it's going to look better later. I promise you this. All right. I promise it will look better later. Alrighties, so we got all of that pulled through. This can go back out this side because that stays over there, that stays over there, and the rest of the shit here can, I guess, get zip tied up nice and nice together. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's get all of this zip tied up nicey, make a nice bundle. We do want things to look good, so zip tie. All right. That out of there, and then tie again here. All right. Cut out of there. So got all of that zip tied. Every step she starts to look a little better. Okay, there we go. push that down so it just looks nicer there. That's going to be power, that's going to be power, and then these are all going to be speaker wires. So let's go ahead, there we go, kind of pull these so that they're somewhat taut. All right, and then we'll cut them, but we'll push them back down so that there's a little bit of room down in there when the time comes for all of that. Now, let me show you, right there. All right. There we go. Now, she is down and in her hole where she is going to live. All right, so here we are. We're gonna push all of these wires to the side. What we're looking here for now is these two smaller wires that we're gonna put into the ferrules. One of these is a remote to the amplifier, and the other is ground. And then we have the power wire here, and those need to be doubled up with these here and plugged into old girl here. So let's start off with the positive first, since it's right there. And let's just get this out of the way some more. I think I am going to go ahead and cut this right here at this line here. Then now I need to strip that back the same amount as that. So let me find my strippers because I don't know where they're at. All right, got my strippers, and let's go ahead and clean back. Well, let's make a clean cut on this. All right, and then we want to clean back the same amount of wire. So we're gonna go about there, and all right, we got that off and through. Take our big heat shrink, put it over that, slide that down through, and I also want to slide this one up and through that heat shrink. Now this is going to be kind of tough, but it's got to happen. And this is where I feel like I probably should have done this a little bit of a different way, but we'll make it happen. All right, there we go. That's in. But now I need to get that in there, and how am I going to do such? I mean, it's only to feed. Let's see if we can manipulate that both into there. Won't quite go in as nice as I would like it to. How does that work? We'll just try it for now, see what happens. All right. Comes sound pretty good. That comes sound like really good, actually. All right, so then all right, I like that. All right, so we got that heat shrink on, and I'm digging that. We do have a couple of stragglers here. Cut those off. And all right, this last one, cut that. And I likes that. I likes the way that looks. So our next step is to get the negative to do the same exact thing, but I do have to get one of these little guys here. All right, remote wire. Let's go ahead and get that stripped off. Get the roll in. Let's get that done. All right, there we go. That's good. That's our remote. Just gotta get our remote in. All right, so we Let's take our negative and our negative, and we're gonna cut our negative about here. Let's redo that. Check it about here. All right. Cut my negative. All right. Here we go. And, we're just gonna make sure this all fits in. And, there we go. All right, so she goes in, and we like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the ground on the bottom of that and send her home, and then we can work on all of these over here. But let's go ahead and get that back out. All right, that's a lot. There we go, and then strip the ground. All right, that's room. All right. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back. So I'm coming at you guys from the far future. I was going over the footage, and there's a point where I had moved the camera and it cut off my hands, so that footage was kind of like useless. So just to keep things moving along, I want to quickly show you what I did, kind of quickly go over it. I do plan on making a really in-depth video on line output converters in the Audio Control LC7i, whatever, it'll all cross over anyhow. So that's something for you guys to watch and check out. You know, nowadays a lot of people have to use these line output converters. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a real quick peek at the wiring that I finished here, and we'll just move on from there. All right, so here we are. Down here you can see on the bottom side there's a set of wires down there, because this is a 5-channel, so 2 channels there, 2 channels there, and then this is the 1 sub channel. All right, you can see how I have this little fuse here that actually runs over to the line output converter. It taps into the power here, goes over, and that's just so that that's fused. All right, and then we shimmy on down. You can see I got all my RCAs here. They're a little long, and that's because I plan on expanding from here. Just I've been trying to hold out so I can catch up on all of the videos. DSP is coming very shortly, so keep your eyes out for that in this video here. If we look over here, these are just the ground, the power, the remote, and I use a remote in. This has a GTO, great turn on technology. I'll tell you about that in the audio, in the line output video. Okay, but I have remote coming in, and then a remote going over to my amplifier. And then here on this side, these are just speaker wires. All right, these are just your speaker levels in, coming from that speed wire, or the 9 conductor wires, it's also called. Yeah, so that's basically it. Sorry for dropping the ball on that video. It's a one-man band show here, and sometimes I get my kid to help me out when he's around, but he plays a bunch of sports, so he's not always around, and my wife isn't really that interested in playing around with wires. So anyway, please like, subscribe, comment, share, ask any questions you got, and keep your eye out for the video on the LC7i, or line output converters in general. And then also we have a couple DSPs actually laying around, so I am going to expand on this and put DSP in here, and then we got a whole bunch more coming up. I got a ton of stuff coming up, so there's going to be a lot more content coming out. And also I got to get working on my lowrider. But yeah, anyway, keep your eye out for that. All right, y'all, peace.